Hello, good afternoon everyone. It's 2 p.m. on Wednesday the 16th of October. I am Councillor Nikki Manterfield, and as chairperson, man, whatever, I would like to welcome you to the Rural and Communities Overview and Scrutiny Committee. To my right is our Democratic Service Officer today, Joshua Mann. We are not expecting the fire alarm to sound today. If the alarm does go off, please leave the building immediately by the nearest exit and assemble on the green in front of SK House. Please can we ensure that mobile phones are switched off or turned to silent and moved away from the microphones, please, during the meeting. Please be aware that the meeting is being recorded and live streamed via the public eye on the Council's website. Please can we ensure that your microphones are turned off when others are speaking and on when you are speaking. And I'd like to welcome all councillors, officers and public who are joining our meeting today. We'll now begin to work through the agenda. Thank you. Agenda item 1, public speakers. I don't believe we have any for today, but I'll just check. No?
Thank you, Chairman. No public speakers today.
Lovely, thank you. Agenda item 2, can we have apologies for absence, please?
Thank you, Chairman. We've received apologies for absence from Councillor Vanessa Smith, Councillor James Dennison and Councillor Stephen Cunnington. Councillor Harrison is substituting for Councillor Smith and Councillor Morgan is substituting for Councillor Dennison if she arrives.
Lovely, thank you very much. Agenda item 3, disclosure of interest. Do any members have any interest to declare regarding the contents of today's agenda? Please note that you can also declare any interest at any point throughout the meeting should a potential conflict of interest come to your attention. All right? Thank you. Agenda item 4. The minutes from the last meeting held on the 10th of July. Do any members wish to comment on the accuracy of the minutes? Any issues that we found? No? If not, I'm happy to propose them as a true record of the meeting. If I can have a seconder, please. Lovely. And can we take a vote, please, for all those that were there? Lovely, thank you very much. They're passed. Sorry. Agenda item 5. Any updates from the previous meeting? If you turn to page 19 of the agenda pack, you will find that all those that are mentioned there are complete. If we've got any comments or anything regarding them. No, if we're all happy, lovely. Agenda item 6. Announcements or updates from the Leader of the Council, Cabinet members or Head of Paid Services. I haven't been told or informed of any. Josh, you aware of any? No. Lovely, thank you. Agenda item 7. The Prevent update. Just hand over to Councillor Rayside to present this. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Members will be aware that whilst Prevent is a duty in its own right, it also forms the part of the Council's responsibility under safeguarding. This report provides information on the Council's delivery of the Prevent duty and seeks the Committee's recommendation to Cabinet to approve the draft venue hire and external speaker policy, which is attached as an appendix. The Council is required to ensure that publicly owned venues and resources do not provide a platform for extremists and are not used to disseminate extremist views or be used to draw people into terrorism. Under the Prevent duty local authorities, the Council must prevent people from being drawn into terrorism. One way in which we can reduce such environments is to introduce this policy, which we are required to have under the Prevent duty. This policy and the responsible event booking document are presented for consideration, and we have our officers here on duty to answer any questions that you may have. And I'd like to take this opportunity to thank the officers for this report. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Any questions or comments from the committee? No? We all happy? Just one question I have, Carol, sorry. It mentions in here that 45 of the councillors currently, out of the 56, have had their prevent training. I'm just wondered how we are with the staff on this side of it.
So, through you, Chair, all members of staff, it's mandatory for all members of staff to have training. So, we do a mix of in-person training. The same trainer that was used for elected members is also used for staff. And we also utilise the Home Office e-learning. So, all staff that are required to carry out this training have actually completed it.
Lovely, thank you. Any other comments or questions? I'm really pleased to see this document before us. I think it's really important to go hand in hand with what we do within Prevent and Safeguarding the Forum. I have no issues with the document presented in front of us. So to move us forward, I'm happy to propose the recommendation. This is where I always get a bit grey, isn't it? If I could have a seconder, please. Thank you, Councillor Morgan. Are we happy to take a vote on this now? Lovely. I'm happy to vote for. Yep, lovely. Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you for that, Carol. It seems a bit underwhelming that we've not discussed it that much, but we're very impressed. Thank you. Moving on to agenda item 8. I believe Carol's presented this. Thank you, Carol.
Thank you, Chair. So members have before them the draft Equality, Diversity and Inclusion Annual Position Statement for 23-24. This document is a retrospective and it's produced in accordance with our legal duties under the Public Sector Equality Duty, which requires us to publish information to show how we comply with the Equality Act 2010. We are required to publish information relating to our workforce and to the communities that we serve. The document provides a background on the Council's responsibilities under the Public Sector Equality Duty and our equality objectives, which we are required to have set at least every 4 years. It provides a profile of the district and demographics. Those statistics are made up of information from the 2021 census and also from the Office for National Statistics mid-year estimates. The document also provides a small insight into how we have continued to support our staff and our customers, and finally the position statement provides workforce statistics. Our thanks to our HR colleagues for providing those. You'll see that wherever possible a comparison with the district's demographic and our staff has been provided. This document is brought to you in draft form, so to allow for any input from the committee. Once we've got that and it goes before it gets published, it will go to the graphic designer to make it look a lot more professional than I've made it look today. Committee is asked to consider the draft statement and provide comment if they choose to, and recommend to the Cabinet Member for People and Communities that the document is published. Once the committee gives its recommendation, as I say, it will undergo graphic design. So if members have any questions or comments prior to formal recommendations being made, I'm happy to take them with permission through you, Chair.
Lovely, thank you, Carol. Any comments or questions from the committee? Councillor Morgan.
Thank you. I know a couple of issues have come out, and first of all, access to the and I have had some responses from Claire, but it's regarding first of all access to our new customer service centre and the hours. Some members of the public have expressed, who are working, have requested that we have one evening a week when actually they can come in, because otherwise they're saying that they can't access the centre. during normal hours. And I will say that from my experience, my old job, I could not come in at all. So
sorry to interrupt, Councillor Morgan. Can we discuss that in the customer services update a bit later in the agenda,
sure,
please?
Sure.
Sorry, if we just
no, that's fine.
Is that all right?
There's a bit of an overlap there.
No, I just think that's more of a relevant question a bit further down the agenda, if that's all right.
That's
just
fine.
really about this document.
Well, the other point was simply that we know from some reports that we've had that certainly in my ward, about 20% of my population doesn't have online access. So I know this has come up in one of our workshops as well. It's how we communicate with those people when there's more and more dependency on online communication. That still concerns me, that I just feel that we're not getting out there. We are relying on, we've stopped distributing SK Today through every letterbox. And in fact, I think you have to register online or at least show a preference online regarding that. And we're relying heavily on the journal or local media and online. Well, a lot of these people are very low incomes and don't buy the journal. So I feel that there is a whole area of our community, that's just my ward, who are being excluded from what's happening within the council. We're doing some really good stuff and in particular very important stuff. So it's how we somehow overcome that. And I know we've got tight budgets, but it's how do we manage that?
Carol, thank you.
Can I just reassure members that any documentation that we produce is available to people in hard copy or alternative format on request. We obviously don't do that in advance of, because otherwise we'd be sitting on an awful lot of documents. But on request, we can have any document translated into another language, into an alternative format if the person is visually impaired, for example. But on request, we will translate anything into a format that meets the customer's needs.
Councillor Morgan?
That's fine if someone knows it's there to ask for it. The problem is, for example, we've had some consultations, public consultations, and people just don't know. So you wonder how that's influencing the level of response back and how truly reflective of our entire community some of our responses are. Thank you.
Thanks for that. I do kind of agree in a sense, you know, that sometimes we just can't engage, you know, and it's not right for us to accept that, but it's also something that we have to accept at times. So, but yeah, thank you for those comments. Any other comments? Councillor Dixon-Warren?
Thank you, Chair. I was intrigued by the objective, continue to develop and support resilient, connected and inclusive communities that have a voice in the decisions that affect them. It might just be me. My ward is an exclusively rural ward. And if I was to put that objective to most of my parish councils, I might expect a reasonably dusty response in the sense that resilient, connected and inclusive would not be the first three words that spring to mind to them when they consider the support they get from SKDC. And I'm trying very hard, I'm not being disparaging, I'm just pointing out that I'm not sure what that is supposed to look like to grassroots parishes. Perhaps somebody could enlighten me. Thank you.
Thank you. Carol?
So there is a community engagement strategy and action plan that also complement these objectives, but there will be an action plan that goes with those objectives to say how we're going to deliver it on the ground. We've started the initiatives around counselling the community, so we can go out and meet with people. There have been a series of forums provided for parish and town councils, and we are planning a parish and town council conference. So hopefully some of those comments or maybe a lack of connection can be addressed going forward. I think there will always be cases where people won't know because generally people look for what they're interested in. And it's a choice of whether people attend any of those kinds of events. But there are a series of events that have already happened, and there are more planned going forward. So hopefully we can address some of those concerns that you've raised there, Councillor.
Thank you. Do you want to come back, Councillor Dixon-Warren?
Yes, thank you, Chair. Just briefly, I attended, along with two of my parish councillors, the Bourne Parish and Town Council Forum, which I understand was the best attended of all of the forums that they've held, and it was a very useful set of briefings, and it was there were some very interesting questions. So I get the intent, but when I say well attended, I think perhaps 25 to 30 people, and that would be well attended, I suspect, but it's not reaching everyone, and I get that that's a work in progress. So yes, I think there is still work to do on that. Thank you.
Thank you. Carol, did you want to come back?
Only to say that the invitation to all of those went out to every parish and town council within the area that those particular parish and town council forums were going to cover. Obviously, we have no control over the attendees, so it's a shame, isn't it, if we're putting events on and then people don't actually attend, because sometimes then there will be information that is missed. But we can follow up in different ways, and actually increasingly, particularly around consultation, people are asking through the community engagement team for us to reach out to not only to parish and town councils but also to voluntary and community sector groups, so that they have a voice in those consultations. So hopefully we're on a journey towards improving that communication, definitely.
Thank you. Councillor Lennon.
Yeah, I mean, I totally understand what Richard's saying, and I also totally understand what Carol's saying. But for somebody who's really pushed this to try and get community, the council and the community, it is down to us as members to make sure that we get our message out there. I mean, I said to you briefly in there that I had a ward meeting in the chamber 6 months ago in May, which I think we had about 32 people attend, representing the 6 parishes, where officers very kindly gave up their time, and we had a very good evening. And I've got another one coming up in November, which is more to do with county and national. But I think as members we need to create the interest. Like tomorrow night we've got the funding workshops. I've been sending out emails making sure that people are aware of it and attending it. We need to be at the signposts as members to then help encourage it, so then the more response we get from our residents to attend these events, the more hopefully Carol and her team and everything will put on for us, because they are worthwhile. And bearing in mind, I sat in a council and a community event a year ago and we had nobody turn up, and I had 9 officers there. But I'll take my hat off to them. They all work solidly because they've got the internet and everything else. But I didn't see that as a waste of time because we put it on. And it's all about putting on an engagement. But totally understand where both of you are coming from. But I do think a lot of responsibility does rely with us as members to promote it and to distribute the knowledge. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments? Councillor Morgan?
Thank you. This does cut across nearly everything that we do, really. First of all, using the chamber by a member, that was something I wasn't aware we could do, particularly relevant given my ward is immediately next door, so that could be extremely useful to know. And I don't know if members know they can do that. It's not something I've heard of before. In fact, I've more the opposite. It's been discouraged in the past using the council offices for public meetings or ward meetings. So if that's something that's now available, I think members should be made aware of that. So obviously it's fairly and freely available to all members. I think I would support the comments that were made. I attended with our new town council hat on. We had an invitation to come here and listen to feedback to the parishes and towns, and I thought it was excellent, and it was very well attended. So I think, as you said, it's about how we get the message out, and I think in a way we might be seeing the flip side of losing SK Today through every letterbox, because that cost money but actually did make sure we were engaging with everybody, or as many people as we possibly could. But I realise there are cost implications to that.
Thank you, Councillor. Any other comments on the equality documentation? No? No, we're happy. It is one that we do need to vote on and recommend. So again, I'm happy to propose the vote. I always get confused. If someone would like to second, that'd be great. Thank you, Councillor Dixon-Warren. So if we'd like to take a vote that we're all happy, so all for. Thank you. Thank you very much. Again, thank you, Carol, for your time with the document. That's great. So on to agenda item 9, the Health and Wellbeing Action Plan update. And I think we're going to Bethany Goodman. No, Ria, sorry. Councillor Rayside, please, to present.
Thank you, Chair. In December 2023, members of the committee endorsed the South Kesteven Health and Wellbeing Action Plan and agreed to receive updates every 6 months on its progress. Since December, a significant amount of work has been undertaken by the officers to deliver the local action plan, which accompanies this report today, highlighting some of its progress to date. This has genuinely been across the council and has been supported by relevant council services and officers to deliver the actions identified in this report. The delivering of the funding workshops across the district to support residents and the acquiring of the council housing stock across Stamford, Grantham and Corby Glen are some of the highlights. At this time, I ask the committee to note the information provided within this report and offer any suggestions you'd like to go forward for the next update. And thank you, Bethany, for this report.
Thank you very much, Councillor Rayside. Can I just kind of ask a question to see how it's going working with the authorities? Because I know we work closely, don't we, with the other, is it 6 district authorities for this?
Yeah, of course. So we're meeting probably monthly now with the other district leads and really building a strong rapport, I'd say, sharing information. So, yeah, from my point of view, really developing those relationships.
That's good to hear. Thank you for that. Any other questions from the committee? Councillor Morgan?
Thank you. So on the back of that question, really, are we working closely with the NHS on this? And I ask particularly because there are actually pockets of funding available for certain areas that we might be potentially able to access, or the groups we work with may be able to access.
Beth, thank you.
We are working with the NHS in certain parts of it, so social prescribers, and we've got various different groups at Wyndham Park Visitor Centre, for example. But I guess it depends in terms of what it is that you're talking about in relation to the NHS.
One area in particular actually was mental health that came up at our last Health Scrutiny Committee at County, and there is an opportunity there. They are looking, unfortunately, suicide rates are gradually increasing in the area, and it's something obviously we want to address collectively where we can. So I'd be quite interested in what we're doing around mental health.
Thank you, Beth.
So I think we've got the mental health partnership groups as well, and I attended one this morning, which mainly focuses on Grantham. There's not quite similar groups around the other parts of the district, but I think that's something that we can look to explore. It's basically bringing all the groups together that provide mental health services. So, yes, definitely something that we can look to explore.
Lovely, thank you. Any other questions or comments? No? Are we all happy? Can I just say thank you for bringing this? I mean, it's a thing that we do like to look at, and I think looking at it and what we've completed and what's ongoing is really good. So, as a committee, as the chair, I'd just like to kind of say thank you for the work that's put in around in this. Councillor Bird.
Yes, thank you. I'd certainly agree with that. Where we do have items that say completed, I'd like to feel that we do still revisit those fairly frequently, because I wouldn't want us to think that if we've completed, so that's done, and you know, that some of those still would have an ongoing nature and element to them, rather than us sort of mentally thinking we've done that, move on. I think a number of the green boxes do appear to require us still to keep revisiting and having another look at. Thank you.
Yeah, I agree. Is that an ongoing thing, Beth? Just because it's completed, it's not that it's done and dusted, is it?
Yeah, that's exactly it, and it was quite hard actually to mark some of them as completed, even though we've made significant progress on them. It shows that it is completed, but say if there's a new action plan or something in place in relation to climate change or something like that, it shows that the actual action plan or strategy has been completed, but the works behind it are still ongoing, if that makes sense.
No, that's really good to hear it kind of worded in that way, so thank you for that. So that's lovely. And if there's no other comments, now are we happy? Lovely, we'll move on. I do, just going to check that this was just for noted. Thank you. So agenda item 10, cost of living update. I'm going to just look at my notes. Councillor Rayside.
Yes, me again. You'll get tired of my voice soon. Bear with me, this is a quite heavy report. Thank you, Claire. This report provides the committee with an update on the cost of living team, along with the details of the financial support issued to residents by this team. The report also provides an update regarding the support being provided to pensioners affected by the changes in the eligibility criteria for the winter fuel allowance. The cost of living team, as you're aware, was formed in June 2023, and this is the second report that's being presented to this committee. The first one was in the 1st of February 2024. The aims and objectives of this team are to support our most vulnerable residents who cannot access any other income to sustain their home, health, family, and security. This team has received and processed a total of 1,605 referrals. The team are also in an excellent position to support the residents in all aspects of their circumstances, and will also discuss with them any council tax, rent, account balances, council tax support, housing benefit, food bank vouchers, top-ups for shortfalls in rent or council tax, tenancy, or any mortgage support. And when necessary, the team will also be able to signpost to external organizations for any white goods. One of the main responsibilities of the cost of living team is to administer and distribute the household support fund. Since October 2021, the cost of living team has distributed a total of 13,720 payments or vouchers. That's totaling over 2 million to South Kesteven residents, which kind of works out to about £154 per resident. You can have a further look at the breakdown in the Appendix 1. Following the recent announcement, the household support team will also continue to distribute the funding to residents until the 31st of March 2025. Regarding the winter fuel payment, which has become quite a serious topic these days, the communication and action plan I had previously sent out at the full council on the Thursday, the 26th of September, so you should be able to find it in your inbox. At this time, I'll hand over to our Head of Services, Claire, should you have any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Rayside. Any comments, councillors? Councillor Harrison?
Thank you, Chair. Through you. So it's a question, really, just for a bit of clarity for me. Looking at 2.18, the 13,720 payments, can I just get my head around that? Is that payments per household or is that payments per people? And if it is per household, that would equate to 22% of our district is receiving some payments. That's quite worrying to me. So, but is it possible that in those things are multiple payments to the same person is what I'm asking, or is it that one single payment to one single household?
Claire, can I ask you just to clarify that, please?
Thank you, Chairman. It's individual payments per person, but yes, there can be duplicated payments for more than one.
Claire, can I just ask, have we got any indication past March 2025, and I know I'm asking a question that you probably won't know the answer to, if we're going to get any more support or anything will be available? Has anything been said by the new government yet? Because this has such an impact on our residents that require it, and it just worries me that we're going to get to March and then there's going to be nothing to support the residents that really do need it.
Thank you, Chairman. Household Support Fund is only announced up to the 31st of March next year. However, currently we have around £95,000 in vouchers which we can reuse. So during each of the rounds, if the voucher expires for whatever reason, somebody hasn't cashed that in and redeemed it, we can reuse it. It has to be reused for the same cohort of customer. So that may increase because with the new round of Household Support Fund, we are likely to have some vouchers that don't get cashed in. So we do have that money aside to support residents in the new financial year.
Lovely. Just one more question. Do you think our residents are aware that the help is there? I mean, do you think we are getting this message across that, I mean, you do such a good job and the figures speak for themselves of how many families and individuals that you've kind of helped, but do you think that, as like even Councillor Morgan mentioned earlier, you know, the residents that may need it are the ones that can't find the help? I mean, do you feel we are getting the message across?
We're absolutely getting the message across. I think one of the harder things for the team is that those residents that are receiving support are the ones that receive it throughout the multiple phases of Household Support Fund, so that support is a constant. We are mindful of that come the end of March. We do have a lot of media that goes out. We make sure the website's updated, which I appreciate if there isn't that online access. So we work with our comms team very closely. The cost of living team are out in the district as much as they can be, and we would like to continue that into the new year. And also we work with one of the partners, the Lincolnshire Community Foundation, who are able to reach those residents that we don't know about. So if they're not in receipt of housing benefit or council tax support, then they can reach those residents as well. So we do have some support that we can reach out to externally.
Thank you for that, Claire. That just reassures me. Councillor Morgan?
First of all, I've had to do a number of referrals to the cost of living team, and I will say that I think the overall service there has been excellent. Huge amount of work is being done, so thank you to your team for that. However, I'm afraid I don't share the confidence that the message is getting out to everyone in need, because in every case I've dealt with, I've asked the question, are you aware that there's this other help? And they've said no. And it seems to be where people are coming in through housing. The housing, it appears, housing officers are not mentioning if somebody's struggling, needs to move house, for example, and they've clearly got no money, they're clearly on benefits, it's not being proffered, if I phrase it like that, to them. So it's only when I have subsequent discussions with the residents that the need is coming out. And it's how I appreciate the housing folk are enough on their plate, they're worrying about housing, but there is quite often a crossover here. Certainly homelessness prevention, I think in particular we're looking at very low income people, and we perhaps should be almost automatically asking if they will need help. And moving is proving to be an issue. We've got, as we know, a lot of private rented residences, and those people are sometimes being asked to move up to every 6 months, and they simply don't have the means to afford that, so they're finding themselves in this kind of like this vacuum where they've got to move but they haven't got the money to move, and are they aware of the level of support etc. that is available? Is the support available actually that they might need as well, the overall support they'd need?
Claire, thank you.
Thank you, through you, Chairman. Certainly internally we can do more work on that to make sure that our internal teams are aware. We do make sure that they are aware when the new Household Support Fund is announced, so we can do that again for this round. It's always good to have that little bit of a reminder. We all get bogged down in the day-to-day sometimes. So with regards to our housing team, we have the tenancy support officers as well. So with the cost of living team, we need to be very careful that we're not overstepping each other's remit. But yeah, I will make sure that that is communicated. Thank you.
Thank you for that. Councillor Harrison. Thank you for that. Councillor Lednam.
Yeah, I mean, I know that there's a lot of social media output out there which I'm actually copying and sending out to all the parishes' social media sites. But I'm also very conscious that, especially out in other rural parishes, we're talking an older generation where the biggest stumbling block with them is pride. And I know there's people out there what need help, but if they thought I'd pass their details on to the council, they would be horrified. And I'm also aware that not everyone goes on the social media sites. Is there anything we can put together so as ward members we can print off and do mail drops with all this information on so they can pick up the phone? I mean, it's always a case of you can lead a horse to water, I know. But at least then as members we've tried. Because, I mean, I've got hundreds of retired single couples who I know they're either on the borderline or whatever, but they will not ask for help. And we've got to give them every opportunity to let them know in a simple medium, so it's easy for them to say, I will just ring it just to see. Because they don't want to be going online and following this, and they don't want to be held up in a telephone system. But if there's some way of putting something together, which as members we can send out, and at least then we've tried, and you know the money's there, it needs to be claimed, and there's no need for anyone to struggle. Thank you.
Thank you, Claire.
Thank you, through you, Chairman. Really good segue actually into the winter fuel payments. So for our tenants, we've issued 900 letters and we've had 15 responses. So I think for something that's so widely national as well, I think that does pull in what you said, Councillor Lednam, that we know when it comes to pension credit, there's a lot of proud people out there that don't want to apply for it, but it is a segue to other benefits and, as we know, the winter fuel payment. The team have been liaising with comms. So there will be a flyer that's going to be put together, and we're also going to be distributing it to public places, so libraries. The team will be going out to coffee mornings, community centres, and once they open up to the warm spaces as well. So as soon as that's ready, I'll make sure that that's shared, and then you'll be able to get that out as well. That, I think, just bear with me, that is just for the winter fuel. Yeah, it's just for the winter fuel payment, but if it works well, then we can also look to do that for other things. The only thing with the Household Support Fund is that the funding is very minimal. It's a very small pot of funding, so we do want to get the word out there, but it is a small amount of money that is available. So we just need to be very careful when we are advertising that, because it could very soon quickly be issued.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, that's great, Claire. I mean, if you can, let us have it. The initial thing is, if we can get them to contact you on one thing, and then I know you will do your due diligence then to ask them more questions, which hopefully will give them the full open. It's just initially getting them to contact you. And if there's a copy of this letter and a flyer we can have, you know, I can think of at least 50 addresses I can go and put it through the door today, and then just keep doing it until hopefully the penny drops with people that, you know, it's out there, they're paid into the system, it's time to get a bit out. So, but no, it's great. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Councillor Baird?
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Claire. In the wording of the leaflet and the sort of places, I wonder if we could also consider the parish churches as well, because I think within the rural areas, they're very often the sort of the places where people, if they're not in need themselves, they would potentially know who they could pass this leaflet on to. And I think we ought to make more use, particularly in the rural areas, because they're often a sort of bit of a hub of what goes on in the community. So if we can ensure that the churches get the leaflets as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments? Councillor Rayside.
Thank you, Chair. I agree with a lot of the comments across the board in terms of getting those messages out there. There's always room for improvement, and at the moment we have Femi and Fumi and Stella in the room from the cost of living team, and I really like to just say to you, thank you for all the work that you've been doing. You've really touched a lot of customers that we represent, and you're doing a really great job representing the council, so thank you for the work that you're doing. Obviously, we can try to do a bit more, but we also have to remember that as district councillors, whatever information we get from the team, we just need to push it and try to get that message out there to all of our residents. And those who aren't our residents, if you're aware of someone being in a circumstance, as we recently had a case, just get that information out to the individuals and get them the help that they need. Thanks.
Thank you, everyone. Any other comments? Are we happy? Councillor Morgan, did you want to come back?
I just thought I'd raise just how important this is, and it's so unfortunate that I do think that, picking up the point that's been made by Councillor Legnham, that there's a stigma that's been attached to people asking for help. I mean, we all know about how complex the benefit system is now. I mean, I understand there's over 200 questions if you're actually applying for, ultimately, to actually get the winter fuel payment from scratch online. The questionnaire, which to me, I think some of this the government's got to take responsibility for and say, hang on, is this the right way that we should be treating people? Especially those in need. And if I could just link this back to the mental health I mentioned earlier, one of the causes they believe of suicide is actually is poverty. And what's very interesting is that it's across all age ranges as well. So people up to 80 are committing suicide. So this is having real ramifications for them. So the more we can do, the better. Obviously, there are lots of complex issues, but it's certainly one of them.
Thank you. Again, this is just a document for noting, but Claire, can I just thank you and the team? I mean, it's not a thing we really want to look at, but it's really good that we do bring it to committee and look at it really well, and I must say that it's always well presented and the information's there, so thank you. So if we're all happy, yeah. Agenda item 11. So, customer services update. Councillor Rayside.
Yeah, you stuck with me again. Okay, this report provides the committee with customer interactions and call handling up to the 31st of August 2024 within the customer service team and high contact service areas. The report will also provide an update regarding the review of the customer service experience strategy. The customer service team handles interactions from across 17 various service areas, as well as general public inquiries. During Q1, there were 50,752 interactions, which include telephone calls, emails, and face-to-face. These interactions will be analysed further with specific focus on apply for it, pay for it, and report it web pages to determine which areas has been successful. The level of call handling by the customer service team is monitored on a weekly basis, with the percentage of calls handled as of the 31st of August being 82%. Details on call handling can be found further in Appendix 1. In addition to interactions, the customer service team are also reviewing their customer experience strategy. An internal working group has been set up with representation of officers from across all service areas. A consultation on the key areas within the strategy will be presented to this committee on the 13th of February 2025, with a public consultation taking place during February and March of 2025. Feedback from the public consultation and internal working group will be used to form the final proposed strategy. And onto the actual customer service. Finally, I'm very pleased to announce that the relocation of the customer service centre took place on Monday. And I'm very, very pleased to have this, because not only is it a great thing for the customers, but it's also excellent for our staff, because when you're coming to a location and you have a problem and you're walking into an area that's inviting and welcoming, and then you have staff that are happy to be there, it doesn't make the problem go away, but just that experience kind of helps, you know, make it better for them when they arrive, and it's also calming for them. At this point, I'll hand over to Claire in case you have any further questions. Sorry. On another note, two things have been raised. One, I've received emails about customer services in other areas. This is something that we're revisiting. This is a positive that we can say we have a proper customer service here in Grantham. It's in Grantham because this is where the need is at the moment. It has to be evidence-led and evidence-based. We are going to be considering looking at other areas or seeing how we can address the issue, whether it's actually a customer service centre or workshops within other areas. But this is something that's on the table to be considered. Addressing the other concerns about the times, I am aware that these times are different, and I think it's Bourne that has a time that opens a bit later. At the moment, the times that we have now are later than what they were at the previous location, if everyone's following me, where we just moved from. So baby steps, it's progress. We're opening later, and if we see that the need is there for opening later, then this is something that can be revisited. But I'll leave Claire to tackle any other questions. She's way better at it.
Thank you very much. Any comments or questions, Councillor Harrison?
Yeah, it's something I've been asked to say, and I think maybe Councillor Bird can back me up on this. You know, markets is my little thing. Bourne Markets is struggling. Now, I don't know a lot about Bourne Market, but I do know that Bourne Market's on a Thursday. The markets manager's struggling to try and boost that. Bourne Library and the Community Point, SKDC Community Point, is open Monday, Wednesday, Friday. I wonder whether we could look at swapping one of those days to a Thursday to augment the market, and maybe the market augment people coming into those as well. Just like somebody to consider that option, please.
Thank you. Claire?
Thank you, through you, Chairman. So at Bourne, we also provide support for the library. So any change in hours we would need to undertake with consideration with County Council, and we would also need to see whether that demand is there for us to have a look at that. Additionally, if the demand is there or it's something that we wanted to trial, we would then need to look at the staffing for that. If it was to be in addition to, then that would obviously create a need for more staffing. That would take staff away from answering telephones, which would then have an impact on call handling. So there's a lot that we would need to look at to consider whether or not having the market would actually bring that footfall in. At the moment, only 3% of our customers in Bourne are our customers. The rest are county council for the library. Sorry.
Sorry, is that much of a difference?
It is, yeah, it's quite a significant difference. The offer at Bourne is very similar to what we have here. So we have the self-serve PCs, we have 2 offices available at all times, but yeah, the footfall tends to be for the library and the registrar. So we do find that also when we've looked at the statistics of people coming into the customer service centre here in Grantham, there is a very small number of those customers that are from the Bourne area as well. So the information does show that actually our Bourne residents aren't necessarily needing that face-to-face contact, and that they are able to contact us in other ways. We are aware that if we do have ability to contact council complaints or feedback, we do consider that as well.
Councillor Harrison, yeah.
Sorry, Chair, I don't think it was more about the community, the offices augmenting the market, so helping the market. So if people were coming in on a Thursday to visit that, and the stalls are there, there's a chance they might use the stalls. But then the other way round, it was more that way for me. Sorry.
No, that's fine. Thank you for that, Councillor Harrison. Claire, could I ask a question about abandoned calls? I'm a bit confused about what it actually means as an abandonment. Does it mean they're not getting through to the right department? Does it mean the person's hanging up? How do you classify? Because there still seems to be quite a high percentage throughout this of abandonment, if that makes sense.
Yes, thank you, Chairman. So an abandoned call is any call that doesn't reach an officer. So an abandoned call can be that somebody rings and literally within 20 seconds of that call being made, they put that call down, or they could get all the way through to being in the queue, say, for the council tax team, and then they decide that they don't want to speak to somebody, they're quite happy to use the online service. We do look at the abandonment rates from the point of, I think it's 16 seconds and beyond. We don't know why people abandon calls. We're not able to contact them because we don't have that information. But as part of the customer experience strategy, we will be asking certain questions within that consultation around customers contacting us and methods of contact, and I'm sure we will be including something about abandoned calls.
Lovely, thank you for that, that helps. Councillor Bird, did you see your hand up?
Yes, thank you. Yes, it was sort of a bit tentative there. Just a couple of quick things. One, I was also at the Bourne meeting on Monday night. One issue that came up was that the customer service point is in the library, and that confidential discussions are able to be overheard by library users because it's a quiet environment, and that made things slightly awkward. And there was a request for somewhere private to be able to sort of talk. So I don't know if that message, I think, Emma, you were there as well, yeah. So I don't know if that's something that could be looked at. The other issue is obviously we don't have the service in Deeping, but presumably people from Deeping would go to Bourne, but I just wonder when the inquiries are coming in, or the information is being recorded, is the location of where people are coming from. What I'd be quite like to look at is how much of this contact and interaction are Deeping's people, because as far as we're aware, we don't know if we have that level of contact or not, or whether Deeping's people just feel there's nobody there at a local level for customer services. So, thank you.
Thank you. Claire, can I ask you to answer? Thank you.
Thank you. Through you, Chairman. We do have a confidential location within the Bourne office, so there is a space that the customer service team can go into for any of those types of conversations. With regards to customers from Deeping, so over the last 18 months, from the 1st of April 23 to the 30th of September 24, the Guildhall Arts Centre, where we were previously located, we had 7,215 customers, and of those, 30 were from a Deeping postcode. Just for context, 63 were from a Bourne postcode and 104 were from a Stamford postcode. So hopefully that gives some indication that, as I say, we're not seeing any comments from those customers directly that they're not able to access our services, and we do offer multiple ways in which the services can be accessed, not just face-to-face.
Yeah, of course. Please come back. Yeah.
Could that be reported in the report then, sort of approximate locations, so that, because it does sound like quite a small number from Deeping, so it's whether they actually feel it's relevant within Deeping. That's I'd need to sort of do some further investigations as well.
Sorry, that was me. Would it be a demographic that we would look at, or would it not?
I can certainly include that in future reports, and I'm sure it will be captured in the minutes, and I'm happy to send the information over for the minutes.
Yeah, lovely. Thank you. Thank you for that, Claire. Councillor Morgan?
Thank you. Yeah, first of all, just following on from that, is there an issue with transport, though, going back to people who might be most in need of support, may not have the ability to actually get to the alternative locations? So just making that point, I know we talked about the fact they could ring, but if they do need help filling forms and things, then is that just that might skew our figures, just being aware of that. It's difficult to gauge. It's very difficult to gauge demand, actual true demand or need, versus what we're seeing through attempts to visit elsewhere, if you see what I mean, simply because of the distances. And we know public transport, unfortunately, is pretty dire across our district.
I do agree with you, Councillor Morgan, but we're trying to, that would be collating something that we just don't have the figures for, because if you're not going to get there, you're not going to get there. So it's really hard to kind of collate that information, if that makes sense.
I'm assuming that we assess complaints and identify if there's anything that might be hidden in there. Do we look at the complaints relating to access? Are we getting any? And then just if I leave that poised, I raised a point earlier about the access to the new centre. I think it's also important for members to have the centres to go to. If you need to have a confidential conversation with somebody face to face, it's a safe space for us to go to and use, just to emphasise that point as well. I used to use it regularly when we had the old centre. We had the small office, small rooms that we could go in. And yes, picking up where Councillor Rayside's point, I appreciate this is small steps. We have to unfortunately remember we had a very low bar when we moved from the previous site, when we were only open in the morning, to now. It'd be interested to see what feedback we get, I think, as we move forward, because we used to be open till 4:30, going back those old days before COVID. So actually we're still not running even that level. But as Councillor Rayside did say, it's small steps.
Claire, did you want to come back at that point, or are you happy?
I'm able to comment with regards to the ability to contact the council, so we do capture that information as part of our feedback process. And in August we had 3 complaints that related to that, so very, very few. With regards to feedback, we are in the early stages, so we will be taking feedback from customers and from our staff as well using that space. We will be doing a review in 6 weeks' time, not 6 months, in 6 weeks' time of how everything's gone, just making sure that the space is being used as we anticipated. So we will be taking on board all comments that we're receiving through that time.
Lovely, thank you for that. Councillor Bird, did you want to come back?
Yes, just another quick one. Picking up on Councillor Harrison's starting point on this, I do wonder, I have no evidence of this, but I do wonder whether people from Deeping would be more likely to visit the Bourne market if the customer service point in Bourne was actually open, and we can do that. We have a half-hour bus service, so we can get backwards and forwards. But if the Bourne customer service and library area was open, maybe just for a Thursday morning, I think the market potentially could benefit as well. Thank you.
Claire, is that something that we could suggest that we look at kind of moving forward? I know you said it was quite complicated, and I don't want to kind of put words into your mouth if it's not achievable, but just to kind of tie that kind of up.
I think there's the complexity, but also I think the numbers just don't show that the demand is there for people coming into Bourne. As I say, less than 3% of those visitors are to the customer service centre, the remaining are to the county. So the analysis isn't showing that there's that demand, unfortunately.
No, thank you for that. Thank you. Any other comments? Councillor Morgan?
Yeah, thank you. Actually, to do with disabled parking access for the customers. I know there is some disabled parking bays, but I'm very mindful that Wellham Street car park, for example, which has a whole tier of disabled parking, is still some distance, depending on what your level of mobility is. There are some spaces allocated down the side of the Savoy Theatre. Do we have, are any of those dedicated to us, so people who are disabled can visit customer services? Just want to clarify that, because I'm mindful actually we don't have any for this building directly. You're reliant on parking outside, which only works for so long.
I do think that your blue badge, if you've got a permit to park, and please tell me if I'm wrong here, you can park on the side of St Catherine's Road, which would be near access than the car park. But I do think a blue badge allows you to park pretty much wherever within safety reasons for an amount of time. So I think that would be kind of considered accessible. Councillor Leadenham?
Just on the blue badges, Lincolnshire County Council forum is, if it's a designated parking space, you can park all day. The 3-hour limit does not allow, but it is 3 hours only on double yellows.
That was a concern I'd got actually, because of some of our meetings today takes, for example, planning go on longer than that, and it was slightly drifted off the actual customer service centre, but it depends, I suppose, on how long somebody is there. But it's useful to know that. Maybe I need to share that if people are in a marked bay, then they can stay longer.
Thank you for that. Any other comments? No? Thank you again, Claire. I think this is just for noting again. Thank you so much for bringing it again. And I'll be interested to see how it goes with the customer services move. Thank you. All right, so if there's nothing further, we'll move on. Agenda item 12, Youth Council. No, unfortunately, I don't think it'd be us, Councillor Lenham. And I'm so sorry, I'm a little confused. Who's presenting this one? Councillor A5, thank you.
Don't worry, you're almost rid of me. South Kesteven's Youth Council was formed in July 2023 and consists of residents aged 11 to 19, just to provide a bit more background as to the council group. It provides a platform for young people to express their views and influence decisions relating to them and the place they live. The Youth Council have met several times in the past 14 months, and I attend and guide these sessions as the cabinet member. The chairman and vice chair are both selected by election, and this rotates every 4th meeting. So far, the group identified 3 priority areas that they'd like to discuss: mental health for young people, supporting young people in entrepreneurship, and climate change and sustainability. Mental health is a primary focus, and they plan to collaborate with a local charity on mental health first aid program. Climate change initiatives include an eco-cycle project at a local school and efforts to support biodiversity through rewilding. The group also identified that encouraging young entrepreneurs is critical, therefore exploring a youth market within South Kesteven is on the horizon. The council is currently recruiting new members via an application link which is promoted through schools and social media. The next meeting is in November, and we welcome any new members to join. We look forward to the next stimulating conversation, which is the impact of the cost of living on young people. You can see quotes from the youth councillors are in the report, and it highlights the personal and educational benefits of their involvement within the council. And I would like to take this opportunity to invite councillors to attend this session. It's quite enlightening, and as the saying goes, you can learn a lot from the youth and from the younger individuals, and it's amazing to listen to the conversations, and proper content you can get from what they're saying. So I invite you to attend, and I'm sure you'll enjoy it as much as I do. On another note, we often offer them some food, so perhaps we can get Councillor Rahman to offer them a curry. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Raisel. I'm really thrilled to see this in front of us. I mean, I was totally unaware that this was happening and had been happening for 14 months. I think this is great, and I would certainly love to come to the next one, please. I think the idea of engaging is just amazing with the youth, to actually think that there are residents within our communities that want to be part of a youth council just blows my mind, really, especially the age range. So, yeah, I'm fully supportive of this, and thank you for bringing it to the committee so that we can kind of discuss and acknowledge them. So that's great, thank you. Any other comments from the committee? Councillor Morgan.
It's just a question, because I totally would. I had the pleasure of attending a debating session here in the chamber with the sixth formers, and they were absolutely amazing. I think we learned a few lessons from them, actually. They were really good. Where do we know, how can we see where the sessions are taking place, their meetings? Where is that advertised or promoted? Just so if we want to go along.
Yeah, the address is attached. But if you also let Fran know, then you can receive an invite to attend, as to what date and time to attend a meeting.
Right, so you're saying we need to, because it says how to get involved.
Are you meaning for yourself or for persons to join?
For us as members, if we want to attend and come along to the next one, when is it, where is it?
It's held in the chamber, and the next one is going to be in November. Well, if you can let me know that you would like to attend, and then I can send out the date, the actual date and the time closer to then.
Thank you. We might find other members are interested. Is it something we could share, so perhaps all members?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments? Councillor Harrison.
Just a well done to everybody who's involved and all members that have given the time up. I know there's quite a few members that have got involved in this, so well done all of you. Thank you.
Lovely, thank you for bringing that. Well noted. I'm really pleased to see it on our agenda. And if there's nothing further, we'll move on to agenda item 13, which is the work programme. So we have got a few bits set for the next meeting, which is the 12th of December. No doubt there will be others added. And I am conscious that we do have a little list developing of things to be added at some point. I haven't forgotten all these. It is just that currently we've got quite a few things that have to be on the committee. So I will definitely, those members that have brought ideas and issues that you want brought to the committee, I haven't forgotten you. It's just when to schedule it, and obviously I'll be in touch with the individual members. So any comments on these? No, we're all happy? Lovely, thank you. That's just the kind of noting. And then agenda item 14, any other business? I haven't got any. Oh, Karen Whitfield, sorry.
Thank you, Chairman. I'd just like to raise that we've got a birthday in the chamber today. So it's Josh's birthday, and so we're very grateful that he's with us today. So, well, I'm sorry. A little bird told me, so I said I'd mention it.
Thank you. No one's told me. Happy birthday, Josh. What a way to spend your birthday. That's all I can say.
Thank you, Karen.
No.
Thank you, Josh, and thank you for putting up with us on your birthday.
Thank you very much. If there's no other business, thank you ever so much. Oh, sorry, Councillor Harrison.
Sorry, just a quick one, Chair. If the mountain can't come to Mohammed, what's the feasibility of switching, if the market day in Bourne isn't very good on a Thursday, What about switching that to a Wednesday or a Friday? And can somebody look at that for us? That can then...
Yeah. Where do markets sit, Tim? I don't think they sit within this committee, but would it have to go in front of an overview scrutiny? Because I'm not against that by any means. You know, if it's a feasible thing, I think it'd be a consultation, but I do think we need to fit where it fits correctly, if that makes sense. Yeah, lovely.
That would be tourism.
Culture. We're saying culture. So, yeah, that's lovely. On that note, thank you very much, everyone. I'll close the meeting. Thank you for a nice meeting again, everyone. Thank you.